Okay, hello and welcome back. This is a new game. I did play the demo for this last year, I think. No, not last year. Year before that. But it took a while for me to actually buy the game because number one, I didn't have the money. Number two, there was a specific route, a specific love interest I wanted to romance, and he wasn't available from the start, so I had to wait for his route to be written, basically. So yes, let's go to the page on itch. This is by Steamberry Studio. It's basically a heterosexual game, and normally I'm not into that sort of thing, but the premise of the game sounds really interesting. Gilded Shadows explores a whimsical yet dangerous world which blends the solarpunk and cyberpunk aesthetics into a unique adventure. The player can explore different factions and storylines based on their choices in the common route. The final game is planned to contain 25 to 30 hours of content where your personality traits lock or unlock various interactions and responses to situations. As you follow the main character on her journey, pursue one of 6 or now 9 love interests in a standalone story unique to that route. 9 male love interests to pursue, partial main character customization, 105,000 plus words per route with at least 3 endings each, standalone character routes, expansive and gorgeous setting, world and lore flowcharts to track progress through the story. Brief content list: sci-fi violence, cursing, suggestive content, sexual situations, social upheaval and dystopian situations, oppression of certain groups, specifically of Espers and biosynths, androids/cyborgs, mild blood and injuries, mental illness and trauma, occasional single flashes, that's a warning for epilepsy, some loud sound effects, characters with messy or gray moral compasses. There is a full content guide available on the listing for the game itself on itch. Don't know if it's available on Steam. I will have to look that up. If you want a specific romance option, there is a walkthrough that helps you, kind of guides you towards what options you should take in terms of not necessarily personality, though it helps, but also what kind of ending do you want? Do you want a good ending? Do you want a bad ending? Do you not want to know, just want to know how to get to that particular route? That's all included for free. So these are all the potential love interests, and you can actually look at their profiles. We have Ariel/Ari, Kaisa, Caleb, Jack, Magnus, Lance, main character, that's who you're playing. The partial customization, I think it boils down to mainly hair, eye color, and skin color, and name. Quill, Ruben, and you. So Jack, Ari, I just blinked on him. I think that's Quill, Magnus, Lance, no. Damn it. I've already forgotten who's who. That's Kaisa, that's Jack, that's Ruben. I forgot who those two are. Okay, that's Quill. And that's you. Okay. So this is you and that's Quill. Okay. Got it. Obviously, as I play the game, I'll be able to and get to know them. I'll be able to remember their names better. I don't know how long we're gonna go because unlike Heart of the Woods, I don't think this is voiced at all. So it was a good thing I wasn't working on this when I had to take that break, and then I came back and I was still having trouble talking and coughing and stuff. So that was the nice thing about Heart of the Woods, was it was almost fully voiced. The only part I had to read was basically the prose, the narrative, where they were describing what was happening. From what I remember playing the demo, which took me 2 sessions, that's how long it was, which I think it was basically all of the common route, which is where you start out. It took me 2 sessions, and I had to read all of it, which is part of the reason it took 2 sessions, because my voice gave out. So other extras, galleries, obviously nothing available yet for any of the characters. Well, we already looked at the profiles, excuse me. Glossary, these are terms. We are, well, oh, here we go. But anyway, so that's special terms that are unique to the setting. Potential endings, these are all the potential endings for Artie, for Kesa, for Caleb, Jack, Lance, Magnus, and obviously this is where Dancy would go, but her ending is singled upstairs. Quill, Ruben, you. And then flowchart, this is just to keep track of what's going on. So yeah, this is, so there's 4 chapters total that are common, and then there's an interlude depending on whether you go with Endgame or Crimson, and honestly I don't know which is better because of course I haven't played this. Oh, main story scene, branch scene, romance scenario, steamy scenario, customization, belated variation, normal choice, personality lock choice, bad ending. So that was the key. So settings, obviously not going to skip at all. There are love scenes, and you can either have full steam or fade to black. And since I'm streaming this, it's fade to black. Off stream, I will go ahead and read the full steam. And then display is just, it's easier if the game is full screen. So I'm kind of putting off starting this because I'm a little nervous, but let's go! Here we go. Okay, so eye color, gray blue, light blue, violet, ocean blue, green, gold, brown, black. Let's go with green, brow color black, dark red, dark brown, dark gray. Let's see what hair color and skin tone look like. Okay, so silver, light blonde, honey blonde, strawberry, ginger, auburn, light brown, dark brown, warm black, raven black. Auburn, light 1, ooh, that's pale. Light 2, that's closer to my skin tone color. Tan 2, medium 1, medium 2, dark 1, dark 2. Tan 1, let's go with tan 2, because I am super pale and I am tired of it, so let's go with that. So obviously eyebrows are going to be dark red. Right, I keep track of these decisions more for my own benefit, but also so when I play again, I know what not to pick. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. There's a blank page. All right. Make her to put my notebook down. Alright, it's kind of a big notebook. Okay, so Gilded Shadows. I picked, let's see, green, brown, dark red, Okay. So we're gonna pick personality traits right off the bat. At its best, confidence is the ability to stand up for your own self, to be adventurous, and to stray from the beaten path with courage. At its worst, it is recklessness and arrogance. It is overconfidence in making decisions without a sense of caution or foresight. At its best, cautiousness is wisdom, shrewdness, and the strength to judge the repercussions of any actions or decisions before they're made. At its worst, cautiousness is the tendency to over-worry or be anxious and uncertain of one's own decisions. It is indecisiveness due to fear or weakness. So I'm not going to say who I'm aiming for, but the preferred traits, here it would be confident. Need another pen. So we're gonna be confident. Stubborn or flexible. So I like that you get the... In some ways I wish you could do this organically, but I guess it's the way the game is written. Okay, so flexible or stubborn. At its best, stubbornness is sticking to your own beliefs and opinions and staying resolute in your decisions in spite of obstacles, opposition, or persuasion to other sides. At its worst, it is willfully refusing to see you might be wrong, or it is refusal to acknowledge other points of view even if they're valid. At its best, flexibility is being able to change one's personal stance when the situation calls for it, to change for the better, and see other points of view than your own. At its worst, it is a tendency to be too easily swayed off the path you've chosen or compliance with rules or orders without questioning their validity. So, preferred trait here is flexible. Now, one thing I do like is that it's showing that neither trait is better than the other. They're good in some they can be good and they can be bad. It's how it affects the situation that you're in. So flexible, emotional or analytical. At its best, emotional is empathy. It's being unafraid to show vulnerability, openness, and compassion and humanity towards others, and being unafraid to do what feels right. At its worst, it is impulsivity. It is lacking self-control, acting on feelings over reason, and making impulsive decisions without thinking of the consequences. At its best, analytical is inquisitive. It is making decisions based on reason and evidence without letting emotions cloud one's judgment. At its worst, it is over-reliance on logic without making room for spontaneity. It lacks compassion and sympathy for others and puts reason above relationships. So the preferred trait here is emotional. So honestly, these would be the ones I'd pick first anyway. So now we get to actually name our character. So obviously there is a default name, but I'm gonna pick, what do I want to pick? I know I played it before. I don't remember what name I picked. I think I wrote it down somewhere. I didn't write it down here. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. there. Oh, that's that. I know what that is, but that's not what I'm looking for. Maybe it's. I have notes all over the place. I don't always remember where they are. I have an OC that I created in Swoter with my sibling, and I know I recreated her in this, but I don't want to do that here. I know what that's for. Nope. Okay, none of that either. Alright. Huh. I would have to go watch the demo, and I don't feel like doing that. Okay, so my Nemo. Yeah, that works. Okay. So I'm looking up names with specific meanings, just to see what's there. I mean, I'm putting way too much thought into this, I realize that. But I do this even when I don't often get to pick names because I write so much fanfic. So it's kind of fun to just go, let's do this. I mean, I do create OCs for fanfic, but, not quite the same. I mean, I could pick a flower name. I did have, that is a good name. Okay, let's go with Dahlia, which is the name of a flower, which is named for the Swedish botanist Anders Dahl. Because, you know, flower names are pretty common. There's Rose. I mean, my twin, her dogs are named for flowers. Rosie and Lily. But those are pretty common. And then there's, of course, this Princess Jasmine and stuff like that. But it's like, I want a less common flower name. My favorite flower is Bluebell. But obviously that doesn't work for a human name. So I remembered I picked a folder that had a picture of a cat on it, and the cat's name was Dahlia. And I thought that was really pretty. So we're gonna go with that. So let's see. Let's see if there's a surname that means blossom. Oh, well, that's not a surname. I wonder, I know there's a behindthesurname.com. Whoops. So let's see. Search meanings for flower. Okay, so, I mean, there's Bloom, Bloomgren, Blomquist, Bloom, Blumenthal, Bloomstein, which obviously sound like Bloom. Let's see if there's a difference if I search for Blossom. If there's a Japanese name. Let's go with Blumenthal. Okay. Okay. Obviously save. Let's turn the music down just a tad. Okay. Oh, that's right. We start in media res, right in the middle of things. Reality untwisted itself, and I felt the ground beneath my feet again. Nausea hit me hard as soon as everything stopped spinning. Doubled over, my stomach clenching painfully in protest of whatever had just happened. I vomited, gagging against bile in my throat as my stomach violently emptied itself. I tried to get a hold of myself, desperately aware of the combined presence of the two men watching me retch on the ground. Pity I missed them. A thought flowed through my head as my legs finally gave up even attempting to stand. The floor tilted towards the ceiling and I hit the ground, gripping my stomach with one hand while I caught myself on the other. I was still choking on the taste of acid and whatever was left in my stomach. Definitely not having the best of days. One of the two men finally crouched next to me and his hand passed over my back, a surprisingly gentle gesture from a damn kidnapper. It's alright, try to take deep breaths. Instinct told me to scramble away, but my body wasn't exactly in scrambling condition. I stayed in place, squinting at the ground and wishing he'd go away. The first jump can be a little disorienting. It'll pass soon. I just ignored him and focused on figuring out what to do next. I just need to get a hold of myself. How had all this happened? And more importantly, what did these two men want with me? En passant. So there's a lot of chess terminology here. So, how did it go? Did you do okay? One day earlier. I don't know yet, Mom. I got out of the exam 20 minutes ago. You have to have some idea how you did. Was it hard? Did you feel like you were answering well? I kept one eye on the street signal as I listened to Mom's eager questions through the net connection, smiling slightly at the excitement in her voice. She was always like this after an exam. Net connection. Archelaus's version of the modern internet, a vast network of information, communication, and interconnected computers that is accessed via the nano system. Thanks to the nanites in everyone's bodies, the net can be accessed mentally with all information and images filtered directly into the brain through any number of physical interfaces or devices. The net is used for information storage and transfer, as well as visual and audio communications, media, and education. It is a prevalent and indispensable part of life in the Archelaus system. The net can be accessed exclusively with physical interfaces, so Terrans, the Nomos, and citizens of Syre are able to utilize the net in this fashion, sometimes to a slightly limited degree. Citizens with nanite rejection must also use physical interfaces and deal with the limited net access that comes with them. So that's a whole bunch of other terms. So, Archelaus. The fourth planet circling a yellow dwarf star. Archelaus was settled by humans over 400 Earth years ago, but already had the remnants of a more technologically advanced culture on the surface. Much of the old infrastructure and technology were repurposed and reused to form the basis of the first human colonies. This includes the massive domed cities, many of which were in a state of severe disrepair at the time colonists first entered orbit. Archelaus is tidal locked to a star by artificial means. The day and night sides of the planet have very little hospitable terrain, with the day side dominated by a vast desert and the night side home to a frozen waste. There is, however, a strip of habitable land that follows the edge of a shadow between the day and night sides. This is referred to as the twilight wastes. One of the more important elements that shaped human culture in Archelaus was the presence of nanites in the atmosphere. These tiny machines infiltrated and altered the physiology of the human colonists and have become an integral part of society. The planet's climate is characterized by constant prevailing wind due to the extreme temperatures on both sides of the world. There are frequent sandstorms in the desert, ice storms on the night side, and powerful cyclones that dominate the area by the sea. There are many small bodies of water in the twilight waste, but the largest body of water on the planet is a single sea that bisects the planet into light and dark. Bioluminescence is common among flora and fauna, particularly on the night side, and there are many native species that continue to thrive in spite of human colonization. That's a lot. So we were... That's where we started. So this is how you go down a rabbit hole. She's always like this after an exam. I did think I did well. The last round was worse, so I studied much harder this time. You always study hard, Dahlia, and it always pays off. I'm so proud of you. I laughed quietly. Mum, I should remind you that we don't know how well I did. I'm not sure you should be proud just yet. You know I'm proud of you no matter what happens. She paused, and I waited for the inevitable finisher to that sentence. But you definitely think you passed, right? The light switched and I started across the street along with the rest of the crowd, smirking at how predictable she was. I passed into a crowded pedestrian walkway and paused right past the dividers. Passing is never really the issue, you know. I keep telling you I have to score in the top 10% this time. My dad is ready to do some major string pulling on my behalf. And we both know that even if he tries, there's no guarantee anything will come of it. I'm certain you'll hear good news. You've worked too hard to get bad news at this point. Her faith in me was sweet, but everyone else worked hard too. None of them have worked as hard as you have. I doubt that's true. We all work really hard every single time. But either way, I hope I hear good news as well. When will the results be in? They said 7 to 10 days, but it's usually a bit faster. I'll be planning your celebratory dinner soon, so you'd better clear your schedule this weekend. Please don't plan anything too elaborate this time, even if we do get good news. She just laughed and disconnected the conversation. And with that, I knew another big party was in store. I bit back a yawn and dug my knuckles into my eyes, trying to ignore the fatigue creeping in. The last few weeks have been truly exhausting. Every time an exam rolled around, it was like this. For all I kept trying to caution Mum not to get her hopes up, I really was pretty sure I'd scored well. But of course, there were a lot of smart people taking this exam. And there weren't nearly as many positions open in the next study level for interplanetary archaeology. Study level. New Albion society is sort of meritocracy, where there is very high value placed on skill, education, and working hard to earn higher places in society. Education is compulsory until year 10. After that, your place in higher education is earned by a series of difficult exams that are the gateway into the next level of education. Exams are a major part of every person's life until the point they either choose or are forced to exit the education system. How well one does in their exams will ultimately determine their place in life and what opportunities exist before them. Many other places on our college follow similar but often less rigid systems. I mean, I wouldn't mind being able to just keep studying and learning. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be a professional student. Just learn everything. Or any other subject for that matter. Openings in the prime tiers were more and more scarce the higher you went in school, and by the third level of secondary, competition was fierce, putting it lightly. Education tiers. In higher levels of education for New Albion, students are sorted into tiers based on their exam scores. Those in the prime or highest tier receive an expansion to their nanosystems, which increases their mental processing capabilities. They are also sorted into smaller classes with life teachers to facilitate their learning experience. Prime tier is usually comprised of the top 10 to 15% of any given age group. Students who do not enter the prime tier but are still in the top 30 to 50% of their level are sorted into sub-tiers, which are taught primarily by AI teachers. They do not receive nano enhancements but are allowed to continue their education at this lower level. Everyone who scores too low to progress is given the appropriate merits for their level of education and is then compelled to graduate and enter the workforce. Everyone was vying for precious few slots, and for every person that made it in, there were 10 others who got bad news. I lifted my hair off my neck and started walking, holding in another yawn. The sleepiness felt like it hit all at once. I wondered if another nanosystem expansion meant I wouldn't get tired as easily. It would be nice if I could suddenly get by on less sleep or something. The nanosystem is how citizens of our college refer to the vast network of nanites that exists everywhere on the surface. When colonists first arrived, nanites were concentrated in the biodomes, so those who settled there were immediately infected by them. The nanites are harmless, but are what give humans access to the net and other technology in our college, much of which is controlled via thought rather than physical interfaces. Nanites can also be used to give physical and mental enhancements as well as increased cellular regeneration, even an increase in psi ability. These require specially programmed nanites, however. Most citizens do not have access to this sort of expansion. Nanites were not originally present on Syria, but were introduced in lower concentrations by human colonists. As such, Syria has a much lower population of nano-espers, as does Dion, where scientists believe most of the nanites were somehow destroyed prior to colonization. New Terra does not possess nanites, and Terrans cannot access the nanosystem at all. I doubted it, though. Everyone knew expansions only helped with focus and memory capacity, well, and general synaptic response and all of that. I didn't think sleeping less was one of the benefits, though. I knew a lot of students would be all over that perk. Hello, Blue! This is a new game entirely. I finished the previous one, which I don't know if you were there for the end of it. Then again, sleeping was pretty nice, and I'd have to give up on it. I casually sidestepped a well-dressed man so engrossed in conversation I was pretty sure he didn't even notice me. He looked young, a few years older than me at most. He'd probably also been a student until fairly recently. Time measurement. During the era of space travel that led colonists to our college, the caravan ships used a sort of modified Earth calendar and clock to mark the passage of time. When the first caravan arrived to our college, a planet without day-night cycles or even proper seasons, there was some debate on whether or not to continue this tradition or move to an exclusive calendar more suited to such a world. Solar years on our college are shorter than years on Earth, with roughly 1 Earth year passing for every 1.5 years on our college. Our college has a 15-month calendar and keeps a 20-hour day-night cycle that isn't largely artificial, as the planet itself does not have a natural cycle. The biodomes on the day side of the planet darken during the night, while the night side biodomes have artificial lighting to simulate day. Usually day and night are used to refer to this day-night cycle. Sometimes the term cycle is used to refer to the full 20-hour day. Because of the difference in how years are marked, character ages seem higher than they would be in Earth years. Interesting. I did notice that in the profiles. My eyes followed him unconsciously, and I couldn't help but wonder if he had gone into the workforce by choice or if he'd been forced to drop out after an exam like the one I'd just taken. If the latter was true, I suppose he'd still done pretty well for himself. Even if not making the top 50% meant being unable to continue school, anyone who made it this far would get a pretty good job. 2 A's. Whoops. And to be fair, many people who didn't make the prime tier would choose to drop out anyway, otherwise they'd end up in one of its 2 sub-tiers. Oh, that's right. Quick save, auto, menu. But everyone knew sub-tiers weren't nearly as good as prime. You didn't even get live instructors. Everything went through the net with the uni AI teachers. Not that the AI was sophisticated, but still. AI has been present on our college since before the very first colonists arrived. Due to events surrounding the so-called planetary AI in current society, any computer with artificial intelligence is severely limited in its ability to access the net or any computer systems in our college's current society. There is a small population of androids on the surface, also known as biosynths or neo-humans, but they are barred from entering most large cities and cannot maintain citizenship almost anywhere on the planet. The creation of new biosynths is strictly disallowed in most places as well. Certain types of cybernetic augments face similar regulations, depending on how much of their brain and neural network is cybernetic or how much of their overall body is constructed from cybernetics. The school system in New Albion and other places utilizes virtual teachers with AI, but they have very, very limited capacity and, like all AI, extremely limited access to the net and its more important functions. Interesting. And there's also the lack of nanosystem expansion in the sub-tiers. It wasn't like I couldn't keep learning without it, but competing for the 4th level prime tiers would be even harder since I'd be up against everyone who did get an expansion. I shook my head, pushing the negative thoughts away. The system wouldn't change just from me thinking about what a struggle it was sometimes. With the exam over, all I could do was wait and hope for the best. And if I didn't make prime, then I'd fight tooth and nail for as long as possible to get wherever I needed to get, to make it into an off-world research team. So there. Okay, no more worrying. I was going to just go home, relax, and take a long hot bath. After 3 weeks of non-stop studying, I deserved the longest and hottest of baths. Also a quiet dinner, a good book, and definitely no schoolwork. When I stepped through the door to my apartment, a notification popped up before I even set my things down. I paused, focusing on the message obscuring my vision. Mail? Not just any mail either. Apparently I had an actual letter rather than a message through the net. How unusual. We still get physical mail. Dismissing the alert, I pushed the little button by the front door curiously and waited for the mail slot to slide out to reveal its contents. A small cream-colored envelope was nestled inside. I turned it over in my hands curiously. It was blank. No sender. I ran my fingertips over it, smiling slightly. Paper products weren't terribly uncommon, but they were less efficient. I hadn't gotten a real letter in ages. I pulled the front flap open, wondering who had sent me something like this. Happy birthday! It's a large script with a spiderweb of gold filigree behind it. The workmanship was quite admirable. Delicate swirls traced a careful pattern over the card. Really, it was beautiful. Too bad my birthday had been 7 months ago. I flipped the card open and, with an uncomfortable flutter in my stomach, instantly recognized the familiar handwriting. Trent. It made sense. Not many people would send me such a late birthday greeting, and he, of course, knew I loved things like this. But it had been nearly a year since I'd heard anything from him at all. This was the last thing I'd have expected. I skimmed the message, a soft sigh escaping. None of it surprised me. There were apologies for being late, then a standard note hoping I was well, saying he missed me, that he hoped to talk the next time he was in the capital, which would apparently be soon. Maybe we could see each other, meet up for coffee, and could I please contact him? And finally, Finally, contact information is the exact location on Siri. Sira. Okay. Sira is a large moon that orbits Arcalis. It possesses a breathable atmosphere and a lush habitable surface that is rich in minerals and other resources. It currently has a large joint colony funded and is cared for by the Triad. Sira has fewer espers than Arcalis due to the low concentration of nanites and limited system access. However, easy immigration makes it a haven for espers who want to avoid the regulations and limited opportunities they have in Arcalis. In the past few decades, there have been repeated incidents of civil unrest and violence as the citizens have begun to question their place in things and feel that their needs and desires are not being met by their government. Several bids for independence have sprung up and have been thrown down as quickly, but some believe it is only a matter of time before the colony breaks away from Arcalis permanently. Sira. Okay. Confident, throw the card in the bin, you don't need or want it. Emotional, toss the card aside and try to forget about it. Or, I didn't pick stubborn, so I can't pick that one. But these are the two I did pick. Oh, I can use dice. Excuse me. There are very few decisions in Heart of the Woods, so I wasn't able to do my whole roll of dice to pick stick. So, I've been using my siblings' dice, but I finally figured out where I put my dice. Somewhere safe, which meant somewhere I didn't remember where I put it. Which seems to be par for the course. Okay, here we go. Okay, I grabbed a D4. And I promptly dropped the dice. Oh, it's one of my critical role dice. There we go. Okay. So, pick the D4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Confident. Throw the card in the bin. You don't need or want it. I hesitated only the briefest of moments before I went to the bin and dropped the card in, listening to the sizzle as it was incinerated. Regret nursed at my heart, but it's too late, even if I wanted to retrieve it. So actually, let's save here, just for the hell of it. A year. It had been a year with no contact whatsoever, and he thought he could send a card and suddenly we could meet and talk? Where had he been a year ago? 6 months ago? Pinched the bridge of my nose, trying to swallow down the bitterness I thought I'd already gotten over. When he left, I hadn't been angry at first. Not really. He hadn't done anything wrong, and being angry at him was unfair anyway. He'd wanted to do first-hand research on Espers for as long as I'd known him, and when he made the 4th prime tier, we both knew there was a chance he'd be asked to join a program in another city. Espers. All humans on Arcalis are affected with nanites that have altered humans' physiology. These alterations led to the development of psi abilities in humans, and everyone infected with nanites possesses low levels of psi that permit them to fully utilize the nanosystem. However, in some humans, these changes triggered additional mutations, which led to the development of more powerful psi abilities. These humans were the first Espers. Currently, there are 2 known types of Espers, N-class or nano-Espers, whose abilities stem from their nanite-inflicted mutations, and F-class or fairy Espers, whose abilities stem from mutation unrelated to the nanosystem. Espers on Arcalis are subject to certain regulations, particularly the stronger ones. Most of them become members of Endgame. This has become a way to ensure they contribute positively to society and don't cause issues for normal people. Though this was not the original goal of Endgame. Places with fewer nanites tend to have fewer Espers. This includes Sierra, Dion, and New Terra. There weren't many places you could study the so-called fairy Espers. Fairies, also referred to F-class, are the result of natural mutation that occurred in humans rather than changes initiated by the original nanite infection of the first colonists. They were first discovered nearly 30 Arcalian years ago, but were only made public about 15 years ago. It's unclear how long they've been around or when the first fairies began to show up. Their abilities work differently than nano-espers, and there is still relatively little known about them since they can more easily escape detection. Their abilities fall outside the current ranking system used by Endgame to classify other espers. While the same ranks are still applied, they often have aberrations in their skill sets or the sheer scale of their abilities. Fairies are also known to be more affected by their emotions when using their abilities, and thus are considered somewhat less stable than nano-espers. Esper ranks, official rankings used by Endgame and subsequently everyone else, are modeled off chess pieces. Though most people have simply come to accept the vernacular, the reason usually given for the whimsical labels is just that the founder of the organization was both eccentric and a particular fan of chess. The lowest level of espers is infantry classification, but they are sometimes referred to as unranked. They score anywhere from 3 to 7.9 on the EA scale and are the most common esper type. Low-level infantry are on the lower end of this range with scores of 3 to 4.5. Mid-level infantry score between 4.5 to 5.9, and upper-level infantry are 6 to 7.9. Espers that score 8 or higher on the EA scale typically begin to develop specialized abilities that allow them to acquire an official named rank. Nearly all espers have a range of abilities that fall loosely into similar categories. These categories or ranks are Rook, Knight, Bishop, King, and Queen. Though nearly all espers have some form of clairvoyant awareness and telekinesis, each rank has a unique set of traits common to the espers who fall into that category. Rooks are the most common ranked espers, followed by knights, then bishops. Kings and queens are the least common esper types. While nano-espers follow fairly rigid ability types and skill sets based on rank, this is not true for fairy or F-class espers. They often possess unique attributes that don't strictly align to this ranking method, though there are often some similarities that allow for loose classifications using this system. Thus, you might have an F-class knight or an F-class bishop. The fairy phenomenon is still relatively newly discovered, and eventually there may be espers whose abilities are so far outside the usual range they require an entirely new classification system. Whew, that's a lot. Okay, so where's my pen? I put it away. Of course I did. Okay, so unranked, and then Rook, Knight, Bishop, and then King / Queen. I think I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure the main character turns out to be a queen rank. So when the invitation came, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, sort of. I just hadn't expected that other day to be on the moon. Even so, it's not like I expected him to reject the opportunity. Not for me, not for anyone. But still, a year without a word? I'd gotten one message to say he'd landed safely, and then nothing. Not a note saying where he'd be working or living, not a single note to see how I was. He didn't even break up with me properly. Even if he didn't think we could work something out, if he didn't think a long-distance relationship could work, I deserved some kind of closure. Instead, I got a quick peck on the cheek at the station, and then silence. I spent weeks hoping to hear from him, anything, months hoping he was okay and being torn over whether I should ask his parents or if that would be creepy. And now, out of nowhere, he was asking if I wanted to meet up because he missed me? What about when I had been missing him? A sour feeling clawed at my heart, and I took a slow breath as I pushed the bin shut again. No, I wasn't going to be prying back open that part of my life, much less jumping back into it. I shut my eyes and tried to quash the guilt. It was over and done with. No reasons to regret it now. Any of it. Sorry, Trent. Just writing down what decision I made. Don't know if it'll be important, but he had walked away, and in the end, so had I. Happy birthday indeed. I made my way to the sofa, shedding clothes as I went along. So tired. Nice outfit. Basically underwear. I flopped down on the pillows, letting out a soft groan. And now that I was down, I didn't actually want to move again. I could just sleep there for the next 7 to 10 days. I opened my eyes, staring up at the ceiling, a slight smile coming to my lips. Well, not that long. I'd never hear the end of it if I missed the party for me maybe having made prime tier. And besides, it's pretty sure if I didn't get up and find some food, my stomach was going to devour itself. I sat up and finally made my way to the cupboards to see what I actually had in that house that could potentially qualify as a quiet dinner. In the meantime, I flipped on the news with a small flick of my hand because watching in my head while trying to work out dinner would have been a nightmare. One ear was on what the impressively coiffed man was saying about another terrorist attack in New Albion, this time much closer to the cities at the eastern edge of the Twilight Wastes. And they shut down another drug cartel in Cecilis. Oh, I got it right! The capital city of New Albion, boasting a population of over 20 million, this megacity is widely regarded as one of the more beautiful and wealthy cities in the Triad. It is a typical dayside city with wide, clean streets, colorful architecture, and copious lush parks and gardens. Though relatively safe with its low crime rate, Cecilis is not without problems, including the same problems that plague many other cities on the planet. The city government has a bad habit of sweeping issues under the rug or downplaying their severity for the sake of keeping up appearances. Crimson got the blame for them both, as they usually did. Another reason to get off-world as soon as I can. I huffed in dissatisfaction as I stared down my cupboard. It was pretty empty, to say the least, unless you counted one foil packet of biscuits and a tin of mixed vegetables. Pathetic. I mean, to be fair, I hadn't really had time to place any orders or do any shopping before the exam. For the last few weeks, I'd been eating mostly toast or whatever stray pieces of fruit I could find. Mom would kill me if she knew. Or at least lecture me about maintaining a proper diet. Well, now what? Delivery schedules for the nearby market were predictably filled, which meant I'd have to go shopping in person or eat out. I haven't really done that much lately. There was a new bistro nearby I'd been wanting to try. Couldn't hurt to put the shopping off another day and do something fun instead. That's kind of the whole point of tonight. Relaxing and fun. Though I had been looking forward to dinner without pants and my much anticipated bath, with bubbles and candles, and most definitely a good book. Such was life. Decision made, I flipped off the screen and went to change before heading out again. The sun was still shining when I stepped back onto the street. To be fair, the sun was always shining in Cecilis, and the rest of New Albion, and the Triad, and, well, everywhere on this side of the planet because of that whole title lock thing. Hi, James. Yes, this is a new game. It's called Gilded Shadows, and it's kind of cyberpunk, solarpunk mashup with ESP involved. You're playing a female main character, and your love interests are all male. There's 9 potential love interests. I have not met any of them yet. At least in this. I played the demo, which is basically what it's called the common route. So I haven't even finished the first chapter. I don't remember how I found out about it, but when I read the premise, I was like, I want to play this. So I got it with some of my Christmas money. The point was that the battlefield had only barely begun to darken and block the blistering light outside, the closest thing the city ever got to night. It would most likely be dark by the time I got home. I don't think you can actually romance more than one at a time, though that would be interesting. But yeah, from what I've seen, it seems like everybody wants a piece of the main character. Darkish, anyway. I started away from my apartment and towards the bistro. My mind wandered as I walked, glancing up at the sky. Though I guess it's not really the sky. The biodome blocked the view of the real sky and filtered out the harmful UV rays. It looked like the sky, so I suppose it was the same thing anyway. I wondered if it looked the same in Delphine. I really wanted to go there someday to see it. Delphine is the largest sovereign nation on the night side of the planet, made up of 15 individual domes, 2 megacities, and a population of 73 million people. This government is well known to be a cesspool of corruption. Its capital city, Pythia, has many wealthy and well-cared-for sectors, but surrounding domes have extensive slums where power, water, and other functions are limited. Delphine has control of most energy protection on their Callous night side, which falls far short of what is needed to run the domes there. Purchasing energy from the day side is also expensive and inefficient. What is left over after powering its most important cities, Delphine sells at a premium to the few city-states that manage to take root on the night side. The fights over energy and other resources are a constant reminder of the difference between living on the day side or the night side of Arcalis. Not only that, there were ruins there, some of the ways closer to the Twilight region, but the Delphine government didn't let anyone near them. It was ridiculous that it was easier to go off-world to a planet 50 million kilometers away to see ruins than it was to research the ones on Arcalis. But that's what happened when two countries didn't get on, I suppose. In any case, even if I could save the ruins of Delphine, I'd rather go to Dion, to finally see something other than simulated day and night, to feel real wind, to see a storm, or the stars. Structural inequality, yep. What's funny is Arcalis reminds me of the Twi'lek homeworld, Ryloth from Star Wars. It is title locked, and but they all live underground. They don't have biodomes or anything like that. Or at least, I read the Young Jedi Knights books, and they go to Ryloth in one of the books, and the people mostly live, if they do live on the surface, it's in the Twilight region, but mostly they live underground. Though that would only be an option if I made it into the prime tier and could continue my studies. So now I was back to thinking about the exam, which kind of defied the purpose of a relaxing evening. Pushed the thoughts away, determined not to think about it. I was about 2 blocks from home in a pedestrian walkway between 2 streets when I first noticed a crowd gathered up ahead. I paused, watching curiously as several more people wandered over. All of them were clustered around a large fountain there. A busker, maybe? I saw plenty of them on my way to and from class, so I rarely had time to stop and watch. This one must be pretty good to gather that big a crowd. Too bad it was kind of blocking the path I needed to take. Drew closer and instead appeared a performance of some kind. It was actually sounded like someone talking loudly, though ranting might have been a better term. A demonstration or protest? I suppose it could have been some kind of dramatic performance instead of a musician. I was a little curious, and I needed to go through there anyway. Maybe I should take a minute to find out what was going on, but I wasn't sure I really wanted to bother with the crowd. Join the crowd and to see what's going on, squeeze past the crowd as quickly as possible, take a different route altogether, just in case. Saving again. So obviously with 3 options, I need a D6. There it is. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Take a different route altogether, just in case. There's 3 personality traits you pick at the beginning before you even start the game. Confident or cautious, flexible or stubborn, emotional or analytical, and some options are locked if you didn't pick the trait that's associated with it. But these aren't associated with the specific traits, so that's why it says neutral. No, never mind. The more I thought about it, the more it looked like a headache. The crowd was basically blocking the entire path. That looked like it would be a pain to fight against. So after a moment of deliberation, I decided to retrace my steps entirely and take a different path. The shouts and noise from the crowd faded behind the sounds of traffic as I went towards the street I just crossed instead. There was an alley back there that I'd go through instead. The crowd was still in view when I reached the alley opening, and as I was about to enter, there was a loud crash, like something heavy shattering on the ground. Alarms blared and shouts went up from the crowd. The wail of sirens sounded in the distance and rapidly drew closer. If anything, that solidified my decision to try and avoid the situation. Everyone was scattering, and the safety department would arrive in minutes to break up any stragglers. New Albion's public law enforcement. For the most part, they tackle smaller crimes in general keeping of public order. They have special departments that handle more significant crimes, such as those involving unregistered espers, but they often turn cases over to Endgame if it seems to be more than they can handle on their own. Other nations and city-states have their own PSCs that function in more or less the same way. But it was basically their police department. It's probably for the best. Whatever had been going on there was inevitably going to start disrupting traffic if the crowd got any bigger. I couldn't help but wonder what had happened though. Maybe it wasn't a performance after all? Having played this before, I can say that you do get drawn into it against your will. I stepped into an alley and found myself on the narrow path between rows of buildings now completely cut out from the view of the street. The sirens and commotion had faded a bit. I started up the slight incline, checking my directions quickly to make sure I was still heading the right way. These paths could become a bit of a labyrinth. I've been in cities like that. Where I live, it's pretty well laid out, pretty clear cut. I wouldn't say it's a completely perfect grid because the street I live on stops and starts. But it's hard to get lost in the city I live in. But I visited Prague 2005? Yeah, it was part of a school trip for college. And oh my gosh, I got so lost. Even with a map, I still got lost. I hope this bistro is worth the effort. But either way, it was nice to get out of the apartment and just wander around for a while. I was about to make another right turn when the sound of hurried footsteps rounded a corner in front of me and a disheveled man came into view. My eyes went wide. He was sopping wet, ragged, and with hair that looked like it hadn't been brushed in some time. And he looked like he was being chased. I quickly lowered my eyes, heart pounding uncomfortably. It wasn't as if there weren't displaced people in Thessalos. Even New Albion had its issues. It was hardly the utopia the unified triad government tried to make everyone believe, but you didn't usually see them here. It wasn't the raggedness that concerned me, it was his eyes. They were a little odd. Even from this distance, I could see that one was strangely pale, while the other gleamed faintly red in the light. Reason why cars in Europe are smaller. They have some fairly large streets in Europe, but like the parts of Prague that I got lost in was actually mostly pedestrian. I mean, it was a beautiful city, and I'm glad I got the chance to visit, but man, was it confusing. Drug addict? One of the most popular street drugs at the moment could have odd effects on the eyes. What the heck is going on today? I quickly veered to the path on the right, trying not to noticeably speed up my pace. Please just keep going the other way, please. My heart rose to my throat and lodged there when I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps following me. He didn't try to catch up, but he didn't turn off anywhere else either. He kept pace, staying a short distance behind me. I could hear him muttering, catching only snatches of what he was saying. They don't know, they tried to make me stop, but I'll break it, we'll break it all. The sounds, the songs, I hear them calling, slithering in my head. Oh my god. Clenched my fist to my chest and quickened my step. The footsteps behind me quickened as well. Crowns, queens and kings, you can see the truth behind the lies if you open up your eyes and let the stars tell you all their songs. This is like the worst nightmare for a woman walking alone. All I'm saying. Whether he's gonna actually do anything or not, it is still very unsettling. I had no idea if he was talking about me or to me or if he was simply randomly muttering, but something about the way he spoke set me on edge. I finally broke into a run, horrified to hear him immediately do the same. Wait! Nope, not doing that. Streets can be about 3 meters wide. Well, I know that a meter is about 3 feet. So that'd be 9 feet. That is very narrow. Chekhov's madman, right? I had lived my entire life in the city without ever feeling like I was in danger, but in that moment I felt I was definitely in danger. And this had to happen tonight of all nights. I Just wanted to relax, honestly. Unfortunately for all that, he looked like he was about to fall over. The man was fast. Faster than me. Way faster. Felt like I'd barely gone 5 feet before a hand wrapped around my arm, yanking me backwards. I let out a scream as I spun around and slammed into the wall. You! Let go of me! My voice went high-pitched and frantic as I struggled to get away from him. Come, my lovely lady knives, you can't hear them in your mind. Open up your eyes, listen to their whispers, you can hear them. Please let me go. He kept a grimy hand around my face, leaning in extremely close, pressing his face to the side of my head. I'm not what's holding you down. Come to sit with me on Neptune's yellow sands. We can find them, you and I. What? What? You're one of us. I don't know what you're talking about. His hand tightened painfully on my upper arm. You know. I don't. I really don't. I desperately needed to call for help, but I didn't want to take my eyes off him long enough to place a call with the safety department. I could send an emergency beacon, but the man pulled me back and slammed me against the wall. You can't! Don't call them back. I have to go. They're waiting, all of them. The court, it's waiting. The court is rumored on the dayside to be a strange cult with a near-frantic worship of Espers. They are reported to have started in Delphine somewhere, though not much else is known about them. They are occasionally blamed for various crimes and incidents that no one else takes responsibility for. On the night side, they are known as a widespread group of Espers located in Cestrasir. They are said to have some kind of ties with Crimson and may even be a branch of that organization. This isn't widely known outside that region. Some cities, states, or nations on the dayside have declared them a terrorist organization and banned all activity to do with them. The court? That group obsessed with Espers? I thought they were more of a Delphine problem. I didn't know we had them here as well. There was a shout from somewhere towards the street, the sound of something falling. Ben looked that way for a split second, and I took the opportunity to twist away from him and run. Wait! Why do people chasing you always shout for you to wait as if you were going to quietly comply? Right? His footsteps were coming after me again. How was he running so fast? If I could just get a little further. My boot caught on something and I hit the ground with a shriek. The man was on top of me again in seconds. No! A tremor rippled through my body. And from somewhere above, glass shattered and came cascading down. I curled up, lifting my arms over my head as we were showered with broken glass. The man screamed as several shards cut into his arms and face. I kept waiting for the bite of pain, but nothing. There was the scuffle of footsteps, then the sound of the man retreating quickly. I looked up cautiously, freezing when I realized there was someone else there as well. Well, hello there. Hi. Where had he come from? The man standing over me was much taller and much better dressed, sort of bent over me with one arm lifted as if shielding me from the glass? But how? Where had he come from? He lowered the arm and after a beat offered me his hand to help me stand. Okay. So this is interesting because you pick confident or cautious, but normally I picked confident, so this should be the only one unlocked, but this one is unlocked too, or maybe you can just pick either one. Let's go ahead and pick the confident option because that is the trait I picked. Save. Thank you. Didn't even know what I was thanking him for. Scaring off the other man, shielding me, all the above. Took his hand and pulled myself to my feet. Are you alright? You fell. I'm alright. I don't think I'm hurt. Look, he has a cut on his cheek. My ankle was a bit sore from having tripped, but I didn't think it was sprained or anything. I gave the man another curious look. He had the most amazing silvery hair. So busy looking at that it took a moment to notice the small cut on his face. I played the demo, so I already know whether or not he's an Esper, so I'm not gonna say. But you are, because you shielded me from that glass, probably. Guilt washed over me as I looked up at the shattered window 1 story above us. You were attacked a mere moment ago, and you're worried about a stranger? Well, you're hurt, and I'm not. He touched the cut on his face, his expression barely changing. This is nothing. It's only a scratch. Just a flesh wound. Let me see. I pulled him down to my level to inspect the cut on his cheek, lifted an eyebrow, and gently removed my hands from his shoulders as he straightened. Looking at it isn't going to help anyway. I can have it treated at a clinic later if necessary. Well, that was true, but I just wanted to see if there was still glass in the cut. So, you got it from helping me. That doesn't make you responsible. It was I who chose to jump in at that moment. Where did you even come from? I didn't realize anyone else was around. I happened to be nearby and heard you cry out. Well, thank you for intervening. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't. That man. I glanced worriedly over my shoulder. He seems to have fled for the time being. The time being? I can't say he won't return, which is why you should head home if you're otherwise all right. Yeah, I wasn't much in the mood for dinner out anymore anyway. Do I at least get to learn your name? I'm Ariel Vaughn, though many simply call me Ari. You may as well if you wish. I'm Dahlia Blumenthal, and I just wanted to thank you again for helping me, Mr. Vaughn. That makes the third time you thanked me. I can thank you as much as I want. He didn't smile at that, but merely cocked an eyebrow as he studied my face. Ari. Ari. I'm saying Ari. Short for Ariel. I mean, we kind of associate Ariel with women these days, but I think it was originally a male name, and I kind of think of it as gender neutral. Hi, Mr. Gator, didn't recognize you there. Can you get home all right? I don't live far away. As long as I don't get accosted again on the way home, I should be fine. It's the being... Oh, I get it now. Ari Gator. The default name for the main character in Arcade Spirits. Sorry, it's just been it's been a while. Now I kind of want to try to recreate him in Arcade Spirits, just for the hell of it. Generally speaking, yes, that would be the problem. Ah, here we go. I skipped what he said. It's the being accosted again part that's the concern. Generally speaking, yes, that would be the problem. Perhaps I should go with you at least part of the way. Had read a new book hard to recall the old ones? Yes. Yes. I hesitated. I mean, I didn't exactly know this Ariel Vaughn either, but he had helped me, and it seemed a bit weird that he'd help me only to try to assault me himself. Besides, he didn't really seem the type. I wasn't really much for reading vibes or whatever, but he didn't give off a threatening one. Alright, if you don't mind. I wouldn't offer if I minded. Fair enough. And with that, I awkwardly wove my way back through the alley in the direction I'd come. Wait, what is it? Have fun with that. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. You're limping. You are injured. No, I'm fine. Really. I turned my ankle when I fell, and I'm pretty sure I bruised up both my knees, but it's nothing serious. You shouldn't be walking on that. It's fine. I mean, it just hurts a little. I'll put it up for the rest of the evening when I get back. Let me have a look at it. I gave him a teasing grin, amused at his concern when he'd been so dismissive of mine for that cut on his face. But looking at it isn't going to help. I can always get it checked at the clinic later if I need to. Your own words. He frowned, still not cracking even a hint of a smile. If I see that it's swollen, I could try to hail a cab for you instead of walking. I literally live 2 blocks from here. He took my elbow and led me to a nearby step, motioning for me to sit. I hesitated, then did so because it seemed like he wasn't going to let it go. He crouched in front of me and pulled my foot onto his knee, gently easing off my boot. I winced as he started poking around on my ankle in a decidedly not doctor-like way. I studied his face as he examined my ankle, amused by the serious expression. My gaze landed on the cut again, which already had a thin line of crusted over blood. Without thinking, I slid my fingers under his jaw, forcing him to look up as I leaned a bit closer just to check if there was any glass still lodged there. Fortunately, it didn't look like a bad cut. He'd been right about that, and no shards of glass that I could see, though I wasn't exactly a doctor. I realized he had completely frozen and was staring at me with eyes that were an amazing shade of gray, with little flecks of green. I suddenly realized what I was doing and instantly released his face. Sorry, the cut doesn't look that bad. Neither does your ankle. I don't believe it's sprained. I told you that much. He looked away as he bent to put my shoe back on, and he quietly stood and offered his hand again. If you're fine walking, you can at least lean on me for support if you need to. I think I'll be fine. I started to lead the way again, and Ari fell into step beside me. He fixed his eyes on me as if he was making sure I wasn't limping too much. I did my best to not limp at all. So, Mr. Vaughn, what do you do when you're not rescuing women in alleys? Not much. Was that so? Did that mean he led a really boring life or a really exciting life? Sounds interesting, I think. We walked in silence until we were back out on the street. There was still a commotion down by the fountain area, but the crowd had dispersed. So what were you doing in that alley anyway? You heard the incident down there? He nodded towards the roundabout with the fountain at the end of the block. I heard it. I didn't see what happened. I was trying to go around it. I see. Well, the cause of it was that man. Wait, were you chasing him? He wasn't in uniform, so I didn't think he was from the safety department, but I suppose he could have been an investigator instead of an officer. Not exactly. What did that mean? It didn't seem like he was going to give away any more information than that. Do you think he was, on drugs? His eyes looked a little strange. He was an Esper. That would probably explain why he was so fast, not to mention strong, but it made the way he had talked to me even more worrisome. I sighed softly. I suppose I should send in a report when I get home. I hope they catch him. Probably should be put somewhere that he can get treatment. I'm sure they've already gotten a clear description of him, whether you send a report or not. There were many witnesses to the incident at the fountain. Oops. Even so, it was easy to say things like Sessos was a safe city until you were confronted head-on by its problems. It didn't take us long to reach my building. Aries stayed with me the entire time, despite saying he would only walk me part of the way, though neither of us said much else the rest of the way. I stopped a short way from my door. You didn't have to walk me all the way back. It's fine. Thank you. Don't forget to elevate your ankle, Miss Blumenthal. I won't forget, and you don't forget to properly clean and doctor that cut. I won't. He nodded and turned on his heel, heading back the way we'd come without another word. He was kind of an odd man, kind but also sort of quiet and remote. I watched him for a few minutes before shivering and heading inside. It was distressing how rapidly this evening went completely to hell. And I'm still hungry, damn it. It looked like it was going to be takeout for me. Griffin. Where the hell are you? I encountered the target after the incident at the fountain. Figures. Confirm telekinetic ability. What are next steps? I'll contact Ivory Tower. It's Merlin's call. But I'm pretty sure I saw Jackal lurking. Grave gave chase, but he managed to escape. So, Crimson is moving in. I doubt they're the only ones. We'll need to act soon. Understood. I'll be standing by. I lay on my bed, staring up at the ceiling, unable to sleep. I kept replaying the evening's events. That man, his face, that look in his eyes as he looked at me. The way that window shattered. I rolled over, trying to find a comfortable spot, to no avail. I flipped my pillow over, pressing my face against the cool fabric, but it didn't help at all. Somehow I felt strange, feverish. It had been a while since something like that had happened, and it had never happened out in public before. Though I suppose I didn't usually have that frightening an experience in public either. Ugh, I just wanted to stop thinking about it. Finally flopped on my back, staring at the ceiling. Query. There was a little chime in my head, acknowledging the command. Cross-referenced Shakespeare and Neptune's Yellow Sands. Information flowed through my head, and a soft ping alerted me that the search had found something. Transfer to display. I rolled over and picked up the display screen from my table as I propped myself up on my elbows. My eyes narrowed slightly as I read the writing there. Midsummer Night's Dream. That's what the name of that play was. It had been such a long time since we covered Shakespeare. Brush up your Shakespeare. Titania, queen of fairies. Anxiety stirred in the pit of my stomach again. Fairy espers. I didn't know much about them except that their genetic markers and brain structure were a bit different from the norm. Queens were one of the top-ranked Esper levels. Pull up Earth mythology on the topic of fairies. I flicked the light on and sat up in bed, wondering if I should make myself some tea. If I couldn't sleep, I might as well stay up and read for a while. I tried my best to drown the anxieties by immersing myself in the ancient stories of a world millions of light years away and thousands of years old. I don't know how long I read before I finally set the display aside and went to sleep. That sounds like me. If I can't sleep, I end up reading on my phone until I'm finally tired enough to get to sleep, and then I end up waking up late. Chapter 2, Captured Queen. Okay, obviously let's actually save more with that. Save. Do I keep going? No, let's stop here. Okay, so we've met one of these people. So thank you to everyone who joined me. I'm gonna stick with, let's just do one chapter at a time, at least for now. So, flowchart. So after exams, throw a card away. A long, long day. Find another route. Thank the man. Paladin and Griffin 2. Insomnia. So that's where we are. So these are the other two options from to do with the card. So could have kept the card or returned the card. Interesting. This one was only possible if I picked stubbornness as my trait. I'm just looking to see if I can read the other options. Huh, interesting. And this is why I saved for each of the choices. Okay, so that's it for today. It's a little earlier than I planned to finish, but, you know, new chapter is a good place to stop, and then we'll pick up with the next chapter next week. And then we'll go from there. So thank you to everyone for joining. I hope you have a good good rest of your week. Actually, next week will be St. Patty's Day. Not that it will matter, because you won't be able to see if I'm wearing green or not. So take care, everyone, and see you next time. Bye.